Hey everyone! Welcome back to the Real Talk English podcast, your go-to English podcast for learning English and improving your life. I'm Lily, and as always, I'm joined by my fantastic co-host Jake. Jake, how are you doing today?
Hey Lily, I'm doing great. Feeling energized and ready for today's topic. How about you?
I'm doing well too. You know, yesterday I had this moment where I just sat down and thought, why does it feel like some people completely turn their lives around while others stay stuck in the same place?
Oh, totally. I've had that thought too. You see someone go from struggling to successful, and you're like, what's their secret? Are they lucky? Or is there something they're doing differently?
Exactly. And then I started remembering what it felt like when I was learning English. At first, it felt impossible. So many words, so many rules. It was overwhelming. But then, little by little, things started to click.
Yes, same here. When I first started learning, I kept thinking, if I just knew more words, I'd be fluent. But spoiler alert, it wasn't just about vocabulary. It was about habits, mindset, and actually using what I learned.
Exactly. And that's when it hit me. Life works the same way. Big transformations don't happen overnight. It's not one huge decision. It's the little changes we make every day. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. How to change your life.
And speaking of that, Lily, thinking about how life changes little by little, it makes me wonder why so many people struggle to make those changes in the first place.
Such a great question. Change sounds exciting, right? A fresh start, a new beginning. But here's the truth. Most people never actually make those changes.
And the big why behind that? Well, change is hard. Let's talk about the reasons people feel stuck. First, fear of failure. So many people think, what if I try and fail?
But honestly, what if you try and succeed? Every successful person has failed along the way. The difference is, they kept going.
Exactly. Second reason, lack of direction. Some people know they want a better life, but they don't know where to start. They think they need a perfect plan first.
And then there's that negative self-talk. I'll never be good at this, or I'm just not a language person. Those thoughts kill progress before it even begins.
And the final one, waiting for motivation. People say, I'll start when I feel ready. But here's a secret. Motivation comes after action, not before.
That reminds me of when I struggled with a personal challenge. I kept waiting for the perfect moment to start, but that moment never came until I finally took the first step. And once I did, everything slowly started falling into place.
I love that. And I had a similar experience while learning English. At first, I thought, I'm not good at this. But then I realized the only way to get better was to practice, not just think about practicing.
Exactly. And that brings us to our key lesson. Understanding what's holding you back is the first step to changing your life. Once you identify those barriers, you can finally start breaking them down. So Jake, now that we understand what holds people back, the next big question is, how do we actually start making those changes?
That's where small daily improvements come in. People often think they need a dramatic transformation overnight, but real change happens gradually.
Have you heard of the 1% rule?
Oh yes. If you improve just 1% every day, you'll be 37 times better in a year. It's wild. And it's all because small efforts compound over time, just like interest in a bank account.
Exactly. And that connects to the power of habits. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits, how habits shape our identity. Small changes might not look impressive at first, but over time, they change who you are.
Right. Like reading for 10 minutes a day, practicing English 5 minutes daily, or replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations.
And I love real examples. I know someone who became fluent in English just by listening to podcasts every day. No intense study plan, just consistent small actions.
That's so inspiring. The takeaway here is small, consistent actions lead to big results over time. So if you're listening and wondering where to start, pick one small habit today.
Exactly. And Jake, while taking action is important, there's something even more fundamental: mindset. Because honestly, how we think about change makes all the difference.
Absolutely. There's the whole growth mindset versus fixed mindset idea. Growth mindset says, I can improve. Fixed mindset says, I'll never be good at this.
That difference is huge. And there's another element. Our brain is wired to focus on whatever we train it to notice.
Yeah. Have you heard of the reticular activating system, the RAS?
Yes, it's that thing where you learn a new word and suddenly you hear it everywhere. The brain filters information based on what you pay attention to.
So if you're constantly telling yourself, I can't do this, your brain will find evidence to support that. But if you say, I'm improving every day, your brain will focus on progress.
That's why reprogramming your mind is so powerful. 3 great tools for that: affirmations, visualization, and gratitude.
Right. Affirmations refocus your self-talk. Visualization helps you actually see yourself succeeding. And gratitude trains your brain to notice opportunities instead of obstacles.
That's the power of mindset. It's not magic. It's literally training your brain to work for you instead of against you.
So true. And speaking of mindset, there's another big thing that holds people back: waiting for the right moment to start.
Yes, so many people think they need to feel completely ready before taking action. But here's the truth. You will never feel fully ready.
Exactly. Progress comes before confidence. When I was learning English, I didn't want to start speaking because I didn't feel prepared. I kept thinking, what if I make mistakes? And the longer I waited, the harder it became.
Oh, I relate to that so much. But once you finally took the first step, what happened?
Well, once I started speaking, I realized mistakes are part of the process. Every conversation, even with errors, built confidence. I wasn't perfect, but I was improving.
And that's the key. I love the idea done is better than perfect. So many people delay action because they want everything to be perfect. But imperfect action beats no action every time.
Exactly. If you wait for perfection, you'll never start. Whether it's learning English, starting a habit, or changing your life, just begin. Small steps create momentum.
So here's a quick challenge for you listeners. Think of one thing you've been postponing. It could be practicing English, starting a workout routine, or reaching out for help.
And then take one small step today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Because action creates momentum, and momentum builds confidence.
Yes, small, consistent actions over time create massive change. So don't wait for the perfect moment. Make today the day you start.
Speaking of taking action, have you ever noticed how much our surroundings influence our habits and decisions? It's not just what we do, it's who and what we surround ourselves with.
Absolutely. The people around you, the content you consume, and the mindset you adopt all shape your life.
There's that famous idea. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. If you're surrounded by negativity, it's tough to grow. But if you're around positive, driven people, their energy rubs off on you.
Yes. So how do we build an environment that supports growth?
First, follow inspirational people. Authors, speakers, creators, even social media accounts. Positive influences slowly shift your mindset.
And joining learning communities is huge. English learners groups, book clubs, personal development communities. When you're surrounded by growth, you naturally start improving.
And just as important, limit negativity. Sometimes that means less time around people who constantly complain, or cutting down on news and social media that drain your energy.
That reminds me, when I was learning English, I felt stuck until I joined a learning community. Suddenly, I had people to practice with, share struggles with, and celebrate wins with. That changed everything.
Such a great example. The right environment creates momentum and makes it easier to stay on track.
So here's something to think about. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they pushing you to grow or holding you back?
And if they're not helping you move forward, maybe it's time to make adjustments. Surround yourself with influences that inspire and uplift you.
And since we've talked about mindset, action, and environment today, if we had to leave our listeners with one key takeaway, Jake, what would it be?
I'd say this: you have more control over your life than you think. Small changes, the right mindset, and a supportive environment can transform everything.
So true. And remember, progress doesn't happen overnight, but every step takes you closer to where you want to be.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave us a review. Let's keep growing together.
See you next time on the Real Talk English podcast.